Hi, my name is Kim Driscoll, and I'm a certified health coach. I'm here to talk to you a little bit about stress and food and the relationship between them. How many of you can relate to the feeling of stress? Now, if you think about that feeling and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so stressed, what's the first thing that you go for? For me, it's chocolate. When I feel stressed out, I feel like I need to get a piece of chocolate or maybe something salty. For some reason, that's just what I do. It's just a trigger. It's something that I built up into my head, and it's how I'm seeking comfort for that stress. When we feel stress, we immediately want to not feel stress, right? So we reach for something that is going to cause us to feel good. And unfortunately, what happens is what we're really doing is we're buffering an emotion instead of actually feeling that emotion, allowing ourselves to feel emotions. And kind of like, why do we do that? Why do we feel like we have to just move forward, can't feel that emotion, and just go on? It's kind of because our society has really kind of trained our brains to feel like we can't have a negative emotion, that everything is supposed to be hunky-dory all the time. And if we're feeling a negative emotion, or we're faced with something that is it's a trigger, we find something to buffer that pain with, or to buffer that emotion with, right? So for some of us, it could be chocolate. For others, it could be ice cream. It could be wine. It could even be social media, or just playing a game on your phone. And really, honestly, none of those things are wrong. But if that's your trigger, if that's what you use to buffer every time you feel stressed, you're kind of doing it to automaticity, and you're not even realizing it. Have you ever found yourself in a stressful time? All of a sudden, you're in the kitchen and you're in front of the fridge, or you're in front of the pantry, and you're like not even sure what you want to eat, or what you feel like you need. That's what buffering is. That's your body trying to tell you, or actually it's your brain trying to tell you, we don't like this. Fight or flight is kicking in, and it's telling us we need to move forward and stop feeling this way, right? So our brain loves connections, and it's a pattern that's built up that, oh, okay, I'm going to eat that piece of chocolate. Immediately, I'm going to have a dopamine release in my brain, and I feel a little bit comforted. I can take a deep breath, and I feel calmer. And what happens with that, unfortunately, is that that's a temporary fix, and then you feel like you need more. And so next time I go to eat, I'm going to eat 2 pieces of chocolate instead of one, because that one helped, but now I'm really stressed and I want to have those 2 pieces, and then so on and so forth. But what happens is you're training your brain, and you are telling yourself that this is what we do. We feel stressed. We end up in the pantry. We end up in the fridge. But you actually have a lot more power than that. Our brain is pretty amazing. You literally can retrain your brain. I've read tons and tons of books on it. It's one of the most amazing things about our body. You can retrain your brain to not have that response, and instead have a more positive response, right? So for some reason, we just feel like we can't feel those emotions, right? So we have to allow ourselves to feel emotions, whether they're good emotions or bad emotions. We feel them, right? It's something that just happens in life. You're going to be stressed out. You're going to be coming home from work frazzled, and then you still have to get dinner together, and the kids have homework, and you have soccer practice, and you have this and you have that. There's different stress, but our brain, we have an upstairs part of our brain and a downstairs part of our brain. And the upstairs part of our brain is kind of the logic and the reasoning, and the downstairs is what's to protect us, right? So that kicks in the fight and flight. That is where we have our emotions. And that is what we're allowing to drive instead of the upstairs brain, right? And we need both of those parts of our brain in order for us to survive. But the interesting thing is that your brain, that downstairs part, the fight or flight, that's there to protect you, but it doesn't know the difference of what kind of stress you have. So you could be going on a hike, and all of a sudden you are faced with a bear or a cougar or something like that. And your brain says, oh my gosh, we have danger, physical response, gotta run, or do the do the right thing and not run and draw attention to yourself. But It doesn't know the difference of that versus, wow, I just had a really difficult conference call and that didn't go all the way I wanted and I felt really stressed about it, right? Your body also goes into that fight or flight response and it doesn't like that, but it doesn't know the difference between the two. So that's where something comes in where we have to actually make a conscious effort to not buffer that emotion. Allow yourself to feel an emotion, but kind of move past it. So how can we do that? Kind of, if you think about when something happens, that's a stimulus, right? That's something that happens, and then there's a response to that stimulus, whatever that is, right? There's an emotion, a stressor, and then there's a response. But between that is think, which is very important, and it's a very powerful tool. So between stimulus and response, we can think. We don't just have to automatically go to our buffer. So I wanted to give you guys a tool that I have used with lots of my clients, and I have used it myself, and it's really, really helpful. And it's called Stop, Challenge, and Choose. So when you feel that trigger, so let's say you're coming home from work and you're super stressed and your kid's already at you and you're like, oh my God, and you want to just eat something, right? You just kind of stop and you just take a breath. A really good idea is to count to 10 as you breathe. A lot of times you can drink some water. A lot of times our body doesn't know if we're thirsty or we're hungry. It confuses the two. You could go for a walk, get some fresh air. It could just even be, removing yourself from a situation for 2 minutes, but just stop. Then challenge, right? So that comes in with a think. Challenge yourself to say, why am I, what's going on? What am I actually feeling? Why am I here? Why am I standing in front of the fridge? How did I get here? To really identify what's going on within your body. So am I bored? Am I lonely? There's a great acronym called BLASTED. So am I bored? Am I lonely? Am I angry? Am I stressed? Am I tired? Am I excited or depressed? If the answer is yes to any of those, food's not your answer. You need to kind of be able to take a minute and stop and think and calm down. Now, then you make a choice and you say to yourself, okay, I'm in front of the fridge and I am, bored. Okay, well, if I'm bored, I'm not going to eat something, right? But if I'm feeling stressed, I also can make a choice not to eat that and I can do something. But sometimes the choice is, if I'm thinking about it and I'm making a choice and I say, okay, I want to have this, and it's okay and it meets my goals. It doesn't throw me off track. I know I'll feel okay after I eat it. I just want to indulge a little bit. That's okay. But if you put into practice the idea of stop, challenge, and choose, you will be surprised at how much you do something to automaticity and don't even realize it. So if you challenge yourself and you make choices, you can actually retrain your brain to make some healthier choices. So now when I feel stressed, I do stop and I challenge and I choose. And sometimes I choose chocolate. Sometimes I choose water. I choose a walk, right? But I really think about, does this serve me? Is this going to make me feel good after I eat it? Because I know there's times where I've chosen to eat that piece of cake and I said, whatever, I'm just going to eat it because I don't care. And then right afterwards, I feel horrible. I feel sleepy. I feel groggy. I don't feel good about myself. I feel like, oh my gosh, I was on this track and now I've lost my goal. So there's going to be ebbs and flows in life. You're going to have stress. You're going to have good stress and bad stress. But you have the power to decide how you react to that stress, which is beautiful. You can actually make a decision of what am I going to do and how am I going to react to this stress. So next time you are in a stressful situation and you're finding yourself wanting some food or wine or something that's a bad, in your mind, like a bad choice probably, right? I challenge you to do the stop, challenge, and choose and see how it can make a difference in your life. And it's something that you're going to have to do over and over again. Our brain loves connection. It has learned over years of behavior to address a stressor with a trigger or a buffer, right? And you don't want a buffer. You want to allow yourself to feel that emotion, push past it, and make a decision around what works best for you.